It's daybreak here on Arise News, and it's time for the press preview. First look at what's on the front pages. We start with our sister publication, this day newspaper, and the board headline there says Buhari senators, others play Plateau Killings, act heinous, unforgivable. He has about 4 riders, insists perpetrators must face the wrath of the law. Insecurity, Nigeria on the verge of collapse. That's coming from Kukali. Is it Kukali? Once 23 killed in fresh attacks on Benue communities. And then this is quite long. It says Northern elders call for president's resignation. Killers and other criminals appear to have detected a paralyzing vacuum of the highest levels of government, and they have grown more confident and competent in subverting the state and our society. And then just below that picture there, where you have the Ibunedion, the marriage of the daughter, you have PDP's next decision on zoning out soon as committee submits report. And then just below the logo there, NLC threatens solidarity strike with university workers. Let's leave it there for this straight to other papers.
The Guardian Nigeria leads with the story. Says Kaduna most hit as attacks on power plants, rail, airports peak. Let's take some riders to that story. Kaduna experienced 5 train attacks, 2 airport attacks within 3 years. Relations of kidnapped train victims give federal government a 72-hour ultimatum, while military arrests security agents taking ransom to bandits in Kaduna. And the leading photo in front of the Guardian this morning, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo hosts senators of the 9th Assembly to iftar dinner led by the Senate President Dr. Ahmed Lawan yesterday. Again, Northern elders asked Buhari to resign over insecurity.
The Punch newspaper, that's leading with PDP consensus suffers setback. Zoning panel submits a report. 6,000 Plateau attack victims displaced. President Buhari condemns killing. 25 killed in fresh Benue attacks. Governor calls for self-defense. Vice President Osinbajo seeks senators' support, invites APC reps, and Nigeria's oil production crashed by 744,000 barrels in March, and that's according to OPEC. Kidnapped train passengers not insured against terror attacks. That's according to officials of the federal government.
All right, let's look at the Nation newspaper. The headline there boldly: more appointees resign in states over Electoral Act. I think he has a right there. Governors enforce Section 8412 in Ondo, Kwara, Plateau, Akwa Ibom, and others. And just at the top mast there, this is Abe speaking. Presidential ticket: why APC can't use consensus. Terrorists ask for millions of naira ransom on train attack victims. I guess we'll just leave it there for the next paper. The rest were reported by
some international papers this morning. The Independent dedicating the whole front page this morning to British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. The picture is number 10's door. It says, scene of the crime. Johnson becomes first sitting Prime Minister to break the law as Met Police fine him, his wife, and Sunak for lockdown party at number 10 Downing Street.
Now more papers. Let's take a look at the Daily Express. Prime Minister, I'm sorry, I will do better for Britain.
Have we taken Independent?
Yeah, we have.
All right, because it's quite interesting what I saw there. Let's look at Mirror, the Daily Mirror. Partygate scandal led by liars and lawbreakers. He has about 2 riders there. Johnson, Carey, and Sunak fined by police for flouting own COVID rules. PM and Chancellor refused to resign as Downing Street Fines rise to shameful 50. 50 people fined.
And the Financial Times also leading with this story: fines for breach of COVID law pile pressure on Johnson and Sunak. The Prime Minister has been urged to quit, and he has apologized. More headlines on the Financial Times: U.S. inflation hits fastest pace in 40 years after surge in prices of energy and food. And for the press preview, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello, who joins us from our offsite studio this morning. If we have him, Emmanuel, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Let's take a look at this day newspaper and its leading headline. It says, Buhari, senators, others flay Plateau Killings, say act heinous and unforgivable. Some writers to that story says the government insists that the perpetrators must face the wrath of the law. And this comes as there's another fresh attack, 23 killed in Benue communities. Emmanuel, it seems like we hear this every day. There's an attack, 200 people are killed, and the government comes out to say, oh, they're going to suffer the consequences. You know, this time we're going to be hard. We're not going to take it easy on the perpetrators. But it just seems like nothing gets done. We don't see anyone brought to justice, and it keeps happening. When this Plateau Killings happened, the governor was here in Abuja at a meeting with Tinubu when he was speaking to the governors. Emmanuel, what's your take on this sad situation?
Well, Nkechi, you know that the last part of what you said is actually what is a bit, it sums it up. It sums up the response system. It sums up what is priority to our, our leaders. It sums it up because it was in the report yesterday. This day reporting it yesterday that Lalong was not even in Plateau when this happened. Governor Lalong, he was rather running around a presidential candidate. In one instance, he was the only governor even in Port Harcourt to stand with Minister Amechi. So, our report was very clear. This report yesterday was very clear about it, that he wasn't at home when this happened. The paper brought that out, and Nkechi, you pointing to that also sums it up. So that's symbolic of what is going on. So while power brokers are doing their thing and looking for power, thinking of 2023 is uppermost in their mind. They are thinking of the next election. Every other person is thinking of the next generation. Is thinking of what will happen to this country. And you're right, these stories keep recurring, almost like a broken record. You wake up every day. Sometimes you read the story, you wonder whether it is actually something that happened in the past, and then you look at the date. No, it's something fresh that just happened. And these are while we might be reading this as numbers, there are families grieving. There are real people behind those numbers, and that's what is quite painful here, because beyond the head count, there are people who are grieving. There are real people. There's someone somewhere now who is crying, who is grieving over these brutal murders. And yes, you're right. The president to keep saying this thing, it's almost sounding like a broken record. Each time there's this tough talk. The other day he actually said in 11 months he's going to go out in glory. He's going to face out this crisis of insecurity, almost like a backlash to that promise. You see those intensity, it has intensified, it has escalated in places like Plateau, Benue, Kaduna. And this is amazing. Some of the reports even suggesting that Kaduna is worst hit, and that almost every institution has been attacked, from power plants to railroads to airports and to and it's getting closer. It's here in Abuja, we are not immune to what is happening, and some people even say that in other big cities of the country too. So you have this escalation of it, and the other day the President Obasanjo said probably this president is overwhelmed. Maybe based on that, those northern elders again calling for the president to resign, and it's a call that I think we've had before. But if we know this country very well, we know that nobody resigns, nobody leaves their office, nobody says, look, I've messed up, I'm leaving. People don't do that. I don't see the president actually resigning. Rather, probably he's going. The northern elders are going to get a rebuttal from the federal government saying, oh, look, we're doing enough. We've bought this number of jets. We've done this, we've done that. So maybe that's the reaction that you're going to get. But calling the president to resign is actually a far cry. And there are people who are even saying, resign what for? I mean, let's just hope that we get a better leader, a better replacement in the next few months.
Speaking of a replacement, Emmanuel, of course, before he became president, Muhammadu Buhari did call on the president then to resign following several attacks across the country. But my focus, Emmanuel, is those passengers who are now late, former passengers. It just happens that every day, whenever these situations come up, we hear 10 people dead, 50 slaughtered, 500 kidnapped, and those who pass on. Somehow we don't have data on these individuals. Is it too much to ask, with regards to this train incident, the names of those who have passed on? Can we get their names? Can we create some form of memorial for them? Is it too much to ask for from the government?
No, certainly it's not, and I think it's the right thing to even ask. It's a legitimate demand, so that we can put some humanity back into even governance and all of that. Because what you get now are just platitudes. You get empty words. You get empty sympathies from government officials. You get those kind of tough talk from the presidency. We're going to do a lot. We're going to fish out the perpetrators and everything. Almost as if reading what is already prepared. There's no face to it. There's no action. There's no decisiveness to some of those kind of talk, almost as if it's routine, as if it's just something said to word of people. So you're right. The federal government now coming out even saying that, look, those passengers were not insured and that they don't have too much responsibility. It is rhetoric like that give back to what you just say. The fact that it looks as if someone somewhere is uncaring and that these things don't really touch home. They are not really bothered. And you're right. There should be memorials. There should be we should be able to to do serious compensations. But beyond that, we should see a leadership that is grieving, a leadership that is really concerned, a leadership that shows that, look, these are not just even if you have animals are killed in this manner, you are supposed to even show some concern about that. It's a human beings, and that it's not just even about statistics. It's not just about numbers. There are real people, real homes, real people behind these numbers, grieving and feeling the pinch and the pains of this. You could feel detached if you're not probably part and parcel of what's going on. But if you are going to be empathic about it and empathize with the victims, you will know that this is just beyond numbers. But we need a leadership too that will show that level of empathy, that level of concern, and to show that this is really, really painful and galling.
The point says that consensus suffers setback on zoning panel submits a report, and then Wike says, I will defeat APC. I want to be able to understand what it means by I will defeat APC. And then Oshibajo 6 senators support, invites APC reps. Oshibajo is going on with his declaration. Emmanuel.
Yeah, Oshibajo is going on with his declaration, not minding what Tinubu said, that he doesn't have a son that is old enough to be the president. Probably this is his own pushback to say, look, I'm really serious with this race, and he's gathering the right people behind him. Those pictures are telling. They are good for him. Those optics are good. Him standing with this level of leadership of the Senate, National Assembly. It's good for him. And for Wike is saying that he's been saying that he's the only one that the APC fears, and that if he's given that ticket, he's going to run the APC out of town. He's so sure of that. So all these presidential candidates are trying to run on something. Wike, for instance, is running on the fact that he's tough. He talks the way he talks, he acts the way he acts, and so he was able to give the PDP a run for its money. So, but the PDP itself is torn with those zoning crises, with trees. We are seeing three emerging scenarios now. One, those who favor that power should remain in the north, and then of course the southern leaders who are saying no, power should shift to them. And of course the middle ground people are saying, look, it doesn't really matter. Let's just get someone that will win elections for us. Let's not just win the zoning war. We should win the main war. So IU is now, the national chairman, is now saying that, look, a committee will submit reports and show clearly where the party, but this zoning is going to make or mar the party eventually.
Emmanuel, quickly, let's talk about your favorite prime minister. I don't know if you caught a glimpse of the Independent newspaper this morning. They have the door of number 10 Downing Street. Prime Minister Boris Johnson is now the first sitting prime minister to break the law and has been fined by Met Police, himself, his wife, and Sunak for breaking the law, COVID law, during the lockdown. What are your thoughts?
You know, the first thing that came to my mind is that the British Prime Minister is probably borrowing leave from what he sees in, you know, in developing countries and in third world countries and fair republic, because these are not the sort of thing you expect from, you know, the biggest examples that the rest of the world should copy. And the Independent having that picture on its front page is quite one of the biggest summary of the whole crisis. Johnson had a relief, so to speak, when the Russian-Ukrainian crisis started. All focus was on that. But now the papers are back again. The news is back in the news, and those crises, those partygates, and the fines that he's paying, and of course his latest apology, those things are coming again. But you know how we refer to him here, that he's the cat with the 9 lives. How he's able to, how he's able to survive this is another thing that will keep us glued to the news. And of course, Sunak himself and his wife, and those crises surrounding the fact that they've evaded tax. Those are big stories that will be hitting the pages of the British newspapers, and you know, making the news. And so we want to stay and watch it. This is not the first time he's apologizing. He's done some form of apologies before, but now after a long crisis with denials and sometime coming close to being insulted, he's now offered a fresh apology. I don't know if this is going to cut through, but a lot of people still calling for his resignation, almost in the same way that people are asking President Buhari to resign. So calling for his resignation and asking him to do what is needful, especially now that they are saying that this is historic. This is the first time this is happening in Britain to any prime minister. I think it's something that it's probably going to move the needle a bit and turn the curve.
Thank you, Manuel.